I'm good. Did you miss me?
I did a lot. A lot.
I really don't want to get your channel deleted, Reed. That you're asking for serious trouble if I answer that question.
Well, then stop fucking talking about us, man.
How much perceived value do you think we will lose?
Well, I mean, we lose a lot.
The establishment Republicans are not Republican in name only. That's what the GOP is.
So many people want everyone else to come to libertarianism the same way they did.
Right. The slave mentality is praised.
All right. Thanks,
I want
Mike.
your phone to blow up with notifications every time the show is on. Thank you, Reed.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching the second stream of Sunday afternoon on the Naturalist Capitalist. We've got David Fite back on the show. It's been a while. It's been like 6 months. It was in May, so it's been like 6 or 7 months. So, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, I think just from reading the comments here, even some people thought we had a falling out because you haven't been on the show in so long, but not really. Haven't had a falling out, so we're still here.
Nope. Just he's had way cooler people to interview than me, so it's understandable.
That I can't deny being true. So
Mhm.
some of them I probably don't deserve as guests, but I got them anyway, so I just had to go with it. So anyway, what's been up with you since May?
Since May, that's a lot. I think last time we talked, I was on the Stacey Pressman for mayor of New York City campaign. So that's over. I left that campaign before it was over, but it's over now anyway. Now I am on the Tom Queter for New York State Senate campaign. It's TOMFOR52.com is his website. You can go check him out. It's kind of the only race happening right now that I have even a shred of hope for. I'm pretty much given up on electoralism. That's what's happened since May. Last time I was on your show, I was a pragmatic person that thought that we could elect our way into at least some form of something. And now I'm an anarchist that's taken way too many black pills.
So is that just from working on campaigns? Is that what has given you that distaste for electoral politics, or?
Somewhat, not just that, but also just people and the general speed at which we're moving in the wrong direction. I don't think that we can slow the train down and start moving it in the other direction before it goes off the cliff. I just think we're out of time. And I know people have been saying that for decades, and I hate that. I hate that I just kind of sound the same because I'm not a fan of the boy who cried wolf mentality of the Libertarian Party, and I know we get accused of that a lot, and I respect that accusation, but at this point, I don't know. I don't think we have much longer till the collapse of the empire.
Yeah, I mean, I guess last year was a good time for a libertarian to start a podcast because you're right, we do tend to be hyperbolic throughout the years, but now things are so nuts that, like if you're Peter Schiff talking about hyperinflation in 2008, people aren't, tons of years go by and you don't see hyperinflation. Everyone's like, what's the big deal? But, when you print like $7 trillion off in 1 year, and the Federal Reserve does even more to fuck up the currency, and all this crazy shortages and everything, and the pullout of Afghanistan having the country fall apart right after we leave. I don't know. Everything is very fast now, so it's an easy time to predict the future because it's just gonna suck.
I like that. It's easy to predict the future because it's just gonna suck. That should be like embroidered on a fucking throw pillow.
Yeah,
I'm gonna make that a thing. I'm gonna be able to get that at the Free Speech Media store.
So I'm known for having a group of friends that has quite a bit of range, and most of them hate each other. And I don't know. I think a lot of my friends don't like you, but I think they have an unfair image of who you are, because you'll say something occasionally. Actually, the name of this episode is Fite getting based, and I didn't really know what to call this, but you were
Thanks, Josh Smith, for some great inspiration.
Yeah, but explain what that whole thing has to do with the rabbi and you being an anti-Semite along with the Libertarian Party of Kentucky. Give us a little backstory there.
So earlier this year, I hosted an episode of my show, Fight for Liberty, where I hosted a conversation between a rabbi from Kentucky and comic Dave Smith about whether or not the Gold Star comparison tweet out of LP Kentucky was or was not anti-Semitic. So earlier this week, I was in an argument where someone was calling LP Kentucky Nazis, and so I decided to be a shitposter and an edgelord for just 5 minutes, just to stir the pot a little bit. I don't do that very often anymore. I saw a great opportunity, and so I tagged the rabbi from this episode that happened months ago, and I asked him if the person who was calling LP Kentucky Nazis was anti-Semitic, because Nazi comparisons are akin to Holocaust revisionism. Holocaust revisionism is akin to Holocaust denial. Holocaust denial is anti-Semitic. So therefore, calling someone a Nazi is actually anti-Semitic. That's this guy's logic. And I got to give him credit. His name is Rabbi Litvin. I'll give him credit. He is consistent because he consistently calls people out. So he called probably his greatest ally in the fight for the fight against anti-Semitism in the LP. He called her an anti-Semite, and it was wonderful, and I got a great chuckle out of it. I was stoned off my ass. I know a couple other people got a good chuckle out of it.
I think we should add, it was Brianna Coyle who he called anti-Semitic, because everyone probably knows who that is. It's pretty funny. So
yeah. And what's really funny, and why she probably didn't get very mad at me, is like while that was happening, I was in another thread where a bunch of people were calling her a commie, and I was like, come on, guys. So I was like defending her over here and making her get called an anti-Semite over here. So like it kind of evened it out. So we're simple.
Do you remember? So you remember Ryan Dawson with the clip that came out of him, the Jew clip or whatever, the like 3 or 4 months ago, like at the exact same time, Olivia Rondo had just joined the Mises Caucus, and then this clip came out of her saying that Rothbard was a white nationalist, and everyone was on both sides. So like the more woke people were super angry at Ryan, and then the more like right-wing people were super angry at Olivia. And I was just like, fuck all of you. I don't fucking care. I was just like, I mean, because they were saying like, it wasn't just, oh, this is shitty, or, oh, this is bad, which I never actually ever defended what either of them said at all. All I said was, I'm not going to disassociate with people over this, because people were telling us to block Olivia and like, screw Ryan, stay away from him or whatever. I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And I don't know, people can't understand that. Like, I don't know what else it's going to take for people to realize I don't give a fuck what you think about any people I associate with. But
apparently a lot more, because like I don't know how clear you could possibly make that.
I don't know. I mean, I will disassociate from somebody if I fucking want to. Outside of that, like, you're never going to convince me to. So I don't know. It's pretty nuts. But you've had a similar situation. Like, it was, just guilt by association. I feel like a lot of people kind of threw you out for that, right? And then you ended up getting burned really hard by these people that you went on their show or whatever. And then everyone's like, wait, so suddenly you changed again? And, you're like, well, I actually kind of have been the same all the way through this, but.
Mm-hmm. The only thing that changed is what I said earlier about my faith in electoralism. My left-right dichotomy remained the same. My feelings for various internet pages that exist for various shitposting reasons has remained fairly the same. My stance on most podcasters and stand-up comedians has remained fairly similar, or at least it had. Yeah, there was no there was really no change. But the public perception of me kept going back and forth, which is really funny to watch, because like if you just pay attention to Twitter, my story arc is like really interesting and there's a bunch of ups and downs, and it would make for like a great fucking Hallmark movie. But I just got to
Wouldn't
wake
the
up and
whole
like
liberty
scroll
movement-
Twitter and like be like, oh wow, I did so much this week. Like I had 87 different epiphanies and changed my opinion somehow. Like, man.
Well, actually, the Liberty Movement would be more like a reality TV show, not a Hallmark movie so much. But it would, yeah. I mean, the whole thing is like a dramatization. We've got our characters, and we know what they're all going to do, and it's all really, you can anticipate it, and you know exactly how everyone's going to react. And I don't know, it's all pretty retarded, but that's how we roll.
Yeah. Unfortunately true. But yeah, it was a little bit sad to have people react so negatively to an appearance on a single podcast. Feel like most people could respect the desire to build bridges with people that aren't going to listen to rational thought from anyone else in your friend group. So maybe they'll listen to rational thought from me, and they were. And would you look at that? It actually kind of worked a little bit, and then it got really bad on both ends, and it blew up in my face, and here we are.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to go into the details of the incident because I said I never would again, but I had a group of podcasters go after me, and it was pretty insane and pretty disgusting and pretty slanderous. And I can understand why some people hate the Fakertarians as much as they do. And I didn't really understand it until after I went through that. And then it was like, oh, okay, I can actually get this. Like if some people, all they do is, suck the life force out of whatever you're doing. And then they'll purposefully cut certain information out to paint a picture of you that's really ugly. And I had that happen to me. And now I actually get it. Like now I can understand like just rage of talking. If someone were a friend of mine and they went and talked to those people, I would be upset about it now. And it's not even necessarily rational. It's just, and I could see why other people would be like, why are you so upset that guy's talking with them? But man, like after what they did to me, there's just like no gray area anymore there. You know what I'm saying? So like I sort of understand it from some people's perspective a little bit, but I think it was really unfair how everybody just piled on you like that. It was pretty dumb, but you can't expect intelligence for a reaction anywhere anymore. So.
I mean, unfortunately true. Yeah, and I'll say like I get that, and I get, you've made that point to me before, and I do understand that, and I get why people would react negatively to what happened. But like I said, it's all water under the bridge. We're where we are now. It's been months. Those people don't like me either. They never really did. Anyone that watched that episode knows that they were being nice to me because we have mutual friends, and they were being nice. That's it. They've torn me to shreds before that episode, after that episode. They've never really changed their opinion on me. They still think I'm a right-wing, anti-vax, alt-right sympathizing, entryist Nazi.
Well, all those sound accurate so far, so I'm not sure like what you're about, but yeah, it's amazing.
It really is.
It's amazing. Like, I mean, we're used to the Republicans calling us commies and the Democrats calling us Nazis, but it is weird that you have people that you thought were intelligent in the liberty movement who do that too. Like I've been on both sides of that. Like, dude, this stuff with Vermin Supreme, like I don't understand why people are expecting anything serious or reverent out of Vermin Supreme. Like, we've known him forever. He always tweets out, "I beat whoever," like when they just died of fucking bone cancer or something. Like, there's not a reverent bone in that guy's body. But then he says something bad about one of our thought leaders, and we're just supposed to be like, clutching our pearls. And I don't understand what people, I have people that I certainly look up to, like, Ron Paul and, Thomas Massey and, like, Rothbard, lots of people that I think have like really great ideas and people who have been important figures. But I just think it's funny that, it's mostly from the religious people who say, they first of all tell me that I can't actually be an atheist because I'm always going to have a God. But then they themselves have multiple gods that you're not allowed to touch. It's like, okay, well, Hans Hermann Hoppe is not a god. Like, you can disagree with him on stuff if you want to, or, name anyone. But there are a certain group of libertarians that if you criticize, or if you don't revere, or if you don't, have the utmost respect for any one of those people, then you're just trash. And I haven't even gone after any of them. But I just know people who do, or just disagree with something, and their head is put on the chopping block. And to me, that's just as stupid as the fucking, if you call someone gay or a retard or something as a derogatory term, and the other side, like the left, the loser brigade, freaks out and wants to hang you. It's like, I don't know. I mean, free speech is free speech to me. Like, I think you should be able to say whatever the fuck you want, and I'll disagree with you, but I'm not going to cancel you over an opinion. I thought that was what free speech was, but apparently I'm wrong.
I mean, I guess free speech is also the freedom to call someone a piece of shit for saying what they're saying on their side of free speech. But yeah, I mean, I think that there's a pretty logical line that most humans could agree on. Obviously, there's some gray area there. Obviously, like, you and Brianna are probably going to disagree where that line is. But I think if you guys actually were put a gun to your head and forced to draw a line, it would actually be a hell of a lot closer than most people would think.
Probably.
I don't know. And I think there's a time and a place for most things. Obviously, like, calling a mentally disabled person a retard to their face as an insult, that's not cool. Like, you're a dick for doing that. Now, I'm going to call you a retard because we're friends, and that's funny. And I mean, you are still mentally disabled, but because we're friends, it's okay.
Yeah. Let's see. We got some comments here. I'm actually going to address them. I disagree with Reed's portrayal of what's going on. The standard isn't ultimate respect and complete agreement. Yes, it is for a lot of people. Not for everybody, but there are some people, that you are instantly trash if you, if you disagree, or if you think someone had a shitty opinion. That is totally true. I'm sorry, it just is. It's not everybody, and sometimes people are being pieces of shit. Like, if you're just dragging some, if you're just like dragging Ron Paul and calling him a racist because of the newsletters or something stupid like that, then yeah, I think you're an idiot. And so people might react that way. But there are people who, like, if you just disagree on open borders or something, like, you are a communist, which doesn't even make any sense, because I don't know too many communist countries that are open border. But I don't know. Like, I do think it is that way pretty much.
Good point.
I think, to be fair, there's a lot less knowledge on the woke side that gets angry. Like, the woke people who freak out about, if you call someone a faggot or something, like, it's over. And that's a pretty low information group of people for the most part. They're just easily triggered by dumb shit. Where the other side, like, usually they're more academic people who've actually read books a lot, and they know their info inside and out. and then somebody comes along who actually hasn't read anything, they've never read any Rothbard or Hoppe or anything, and then they're just trashing them. So that, I think that is a little bit different. I'd say that I see that difference in scale. I don't know if you would agree.
I'll agree / push back just a little bit on that. If we're gonna make generalizations here, which normally I wouldn't, but since we're already going down that road, I feel like in my experience, a lot of times I would agree that the people who are defending the thought leaders of the movement have done a lot more reading. And I would say in general, a lot of the people who are taking the other side of this culture war within the party have done a lot more living and a lot more experience and a lot more actual work with people.
Some of them, yeah. I mean,
Some of them. Obviously, there are a lot of exceptions on both sides. You have lived a fairly experienced, fun life of going quite a lot of places and talking to a decent amount of people. There's obviously some neckbeard closet dwellers who are also quite well read on the other side, right? Like, there's a lot of exceptions to that generalization I'm making, but from my experience, a lot of the time, the other side is coming from an experience of interacting with other people. I'm sorry, I didn't actually read this at all.
Yeah, this is hey Dave, thoughts on what the libertarian? Oh, man.
Thank you, Adam. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh like a hyena at you.
Yeah, no disrespect, Adam. It's just, this is like what we literally had right about a year ago. I was on your Christmas special last year, and we did an episode about because Joe Jorgensen had just done horribly, and every candidate across the country in the Libertarian Party had done horribly. And the question was, hey, can we sort of, brush the stupid shit aside? And the stupid shit was the phrase we came up with, actually.
Twitter keeps trying to take down the likes from that, and I think it's because of the vulgarity.
But yeah, it was, I forget my exact words, but it was like, they're robbing us blind, they're bombing countries, they're sending our tax dollars to terrorist nations or whatever, and we just don't want to do that anymore. Like, if we disagree on the minutia, who cares, but end the stupid shit and then we'll talk. And then we kind of coined that hashtag, and that went for a while, but here we are again a year later. I mean, I think things are a little bit better than they were a year ago, but it's still I've just kind of I almost felt like a therapist a year ago. Like, it was my job to try to calm people down and get them to talk to each other. And I
feel like the Dr. Phil.
Yeah, I've just completely moved beyond that phase now. It's like, hey, if you if you can't handle this, then just go somewhere else and fuck off. If you want to jump on board and you care about this stuff, then let's go. But otherwise, just get out of the way. That's kind of where I am now.
Yeah, I feel like we were attempting to be the Dr. Phil, and we got a couple episodes in, and it turned into Jerry Springer.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Jesus Christ, guys, get your shit together.
I think the last video I did on your show was fucking fuck for fuck's sake fuck. I think that was the last appearance, which was just what the hell, guys? It was just kind of an exasperation rant about, I mean, we run out of stuff to argue about and we still find more. It's I mean, if you told me homelessness was going to be something we were arguing about, or I mean, we've done religion, borders, homelessness, privatizing playgrounds. I mean, you just go down the list. We can find anything to make enemies of each other over. When, I mean, it's while the Maxwell trial is happening, or while they're, refunding the Iron Dome, or while they're doing giant weapons sales to Saudi Arabia, or while they're, passing a vaccine database that 80 Republicans vote for. I mean, it doesn't matter any of that stuff that's going on. It'd be like, yeah, but what do you think about voluntary cannibalism? Is it possible? That's kind of.
Is it wholesome? That's the only distinction there. Is it if it is wholesome voluntary capitalism, then it's or cannibalism. Same thing, really, right? Oh my god. Yeah, and so I have a theory about that, which is why I've been trying to stay out of it at least lately. It is it's really, for most people, I think it's about attention, and it's so much easier to get attention arguing with each other because it's so much easier to be that big fish in a small pond here, have like 500 people that give a shit what you say, and just pick fights all day, and that's your existence. And it's easy to go to bed at night feeling like you accomplished a thing because, man, I destroyed that fucking commie 12-year-old in fucking Wisconsin that's also wasting away their lives.
Right.
I had Michael Bolden from the 10th Amendment Center on my show 2 weeks ago, and he talks a lot about the fact that, like, the majority of the work that he does, we talk a lot about, like, the 80-20 rule. It's like, okay, we agree on 80%, let's work together. The majority of the people he works with, he disagrees with on 90% of the things, and he's working with them on just that tiny little 10%. So when he meets up with even someone who he agrees with on like 40 or 50% of the stuff, it is like a breath of fresh air, sigh of relief situation for him. So like the idea of arguing with someone that you agree with on like 98% of shit, and you want to just like argue over that bullshit, it's like it doesn't make sense to the people who are actually out there getting the work done. That even very concept only makes sense for the people that exist on Twitter and podcasts, and for the idea of being able to pat themselves on the back like, I did a shit post, guys.
I want to point out we've already started a homelessness debate in the live stream comments. That just goes to that goes
Nice.
to my point. So
good job, guys. I'm proud of you. What up,
So
Alex, Daniel? Nice to see you guys.
So, what's your plan going forward? Are you like just doing the Daniel Quitter race and then like abandoning ship, or what are you thinking?
So I'm actually working on a initiative right now here in the state of New York, and then we're also working on it in a few other states in the Northeast. This is something that we are copying the structure out of the Indiana State Party. So they started this back in March, where they have been doing a Super Saturday program. So every second Saturday of the month, a county hosts a outreach event. The event structure is pretty simple. It's just find a need in the community and meet it, whether you're doing a park cleanup. One county did the landscaping and like yard work at a battered women's shelter, just like something really, like anything you want. The county party hosts and organizes, and with the assistance of their district reps and their state party. And so we actually just passed a motion at the New York State Party State Committee just before this to get this going here. We're going to be doing this in Pennsylvania, talking to people from Massachusetts this week. Like I said, it's already going in Indiana. So the goal of this is within the next 5 to 7 years, if we roll out this process correctly, there will be a Super Saturday event going on in every county in the country every single month. And I think that would be pretty dope. Other than that, fuck electoralism.
So I mean, when I talked to you throughout the summer, you were in a different state. Like every time we talked, you were in Arizona. You were in, I don't know where how many states were you in?
So 2020, I worked in 14 states. 2021, I worked in 12. So it was a lot of do-overs, but and also Mexico. So there was that in 2021. But yeah, it was really fun. I've very much enjoyed the amount of traveling that I've gotten to do over the last 2 years, getting to meet a lot of people. I did the math, and in 2020, throughout those 14 states. I interacted with over 100,000 voters. And so that's also kind of dope. And hey, guys, I didn't get COVID.
Shocker.
How
Yeah,
many
wait,
thousand
so you're
voters?
not like a blue-pilled cuck who's fully for vaccine mandates and like vaccine passports? I thought that's, totally what you'd be, David.
Yeah. I support vaccine mandates because it pisses off Republicans. There's like 4 people in the world that will get that reference, and all 4 of them are going to be very mad at me for that.
I didn't get it, so.
Yeah, it was a reference to a Fakertarians episode that no one watched.
Oh. Is that why it's 4 people? Because they watched it? They were the 4 who
Well,
watched
the 4 people on it.
Oh.
Yes.
So they said that?
Their guest did. Then in Fakertarians' defense,
Oh my
they
God.
argued with their guest for quite some
okay.
time after that. But their guest did say that. I stopped watching fairly quickly after he said that, or about a minute after he said that, and didn't hear any of the arguing, and took that quote out of context and tweeted about it and pissed off some people. So consider this my formal apology, y'all. But also, that was
Deserved.
yeah.
Yep.
Yes, I do support Ilya Somin. Definitely. He's my homie. Thanks, Daniel.
Yeah. Well, we haven't done a stream in so long. When we used to do them, we would kind of just rant. We never had since it's been like 7 months, I've sort of started building a way that I sort of podcast. Like it's a lot more questions, a lot more structured. But I remember the shit we used to do. There's just we would never have any clue what we were talking about, and we would just come on and rant. And that was how episode 80 came about. And we just got into these dark areas that I don't regret, but although things on the forum have gotten way worse than episode 80 ever got. So that was kind of the low bar back then, but we're in a new age now. But
yeah, I gotta say, I kind of dig what Rob D is saying in the comments. Support mandates to speed up a national divorce. As a very fundamental accelerationist, I actually kind of dig that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. I've always lived in red states throughout my whole life. So the only shit I've had to deal with is the stupid Republican shit. So it's easy to, say that. But if you're actually living in Massachusetts or something and you were born and raised there and you don't want to leave and you are in this authoritarian hellhole right now, it would really suck. So I don't know. But
suck it up, fight it or leave. Like, honestly, I'm in New York, and I'm making that decision right now. Is it fight it or is it leave? I'm kind of doing both is the general goal at the moment. I plan on leaving while still helping my friends that are here fight it. But at the end of the day, the free market works the way that it does, and it works that way through states and borders, the way that we have it structured right now. Even though I don't believe in borders, they exist, and so this is how it works. Like, some states are going to get more popular over the next couple of years. That's going to happen. Other states are going to die. That's going to happen. Deal with it. Rhode Island is probably just going to fall off into the ocean. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that Joe Biden is president, and I have said this many times, and it's not because he's good, it's because he's worse. It's because he's so bad that, and finally you see red states opposing what he's doing. I feel like if Trump had just been reelected and we were having basically the same program going on, you wouldn't see any massive resistance to it. So at least with Biden, because he's a little bit worse and Kamala is, even more overbearing and evil, and, they have D's next to their name, you're going to see some resistance. So I agree with you in many ways. I'm an accelerationist to a point too. I'd rather have more blatant authoritarians in power, and have the somewhat sane normal people oppose it, instead of the somewhat sane normal people just being like, oh yeah, this is totally cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of supported Trump's reelection just a teeny tiny bit because I thought that it would keep more of the focus on the corruption and the bad things, because we were seeing a large level of exposure on the fuck ups coming out of Washington while Trump was president. But yeah, I think you're right. I think Biden has pretty much maintained that, even if it's not coming from mainstream media, we're seeing such an uptick in independent journalism and independent media. We're seeing a lot of people just like wake the fuck up. And so, yeah, I would agree. I think that it's a little bit better to have someone that's that retarded be in the White House, because it's so obvious at this point that it's a sham.
Yeah, no, that's what I love. Like, there's so many people who are upset that we had Trump and now we have Biden because it denigrates the office. And I'm like, are you kidding? That's the best thing these two guys ever could have done, is delegitimize the presidency. Like, no one respects the presidency like they did when Obama was president. Nobody. Like, everyone's like, So I think, Trump made a joke out of it, and then Biden blew past him in the joke department. As far as, I mean, people just see that he's not doing anything. He's literally just a corpse. So I don't know. I think that's great. I fully support the delegitimizing of the office of the presidency.
I fully support the delegitimizing of politics in general, which is why I've come around on Vermin Supreme. You brought him up earlier. I used to hate the guy. Same with Adam Kokesh. I came around on him a lot faster than I did on Vermin. But when, like, 2018, 2019, I thought Kokesh was an idiot. I thought that his plans were stupid. I thought that his presidential platform made him sound like a moron and an extremist that no one would ever vote for. Like, I really did not like that kind of rhetoric at all when I joined the party. And 4 years has done a lot to my opinions.
Yeah, I think I'm in a similar boat. Like, last year, in 2017, I was a pretty moderate person still. I was a libertarian, and I was anti-war and anti-big government, but that was about it. Like, I didn't really think that deeply about all the issues. And then 2019, working on the Tulsi campaign with you, that kind of opened my eyes to the evil and corruption of the establishment. I saw it a little bit with Trump, like when he didn't go to war with North Korea and he went and met with Kim Jong-un. And I thought that was the greatest thing ever. And then the media started demonizing him like he was a traitor or something. I was like, all right, that's kind of weird. But then with Tulsi, it was just so like blatantly awful. And then 2020 just completely radicalized me. Like, I used to have some tact, and I used to care a little bit about how we presented ourselves. Like, at the beginning of 2020, I remember I really didn't like Jacob Hornberger, and it wasn't, it was partially just because of his demeanor. Like, he was just kind of a jerk. But the other part was I thought he was just too radical, that people weren't going to swallow it. I don't know. I don't really think that way anymore. I think it matters what you lead with. Like, if you're just the most radical playground privatizer or whatever, or street post, or toaster license removing, whatever, then you're probably not going to resonate. But as far as just being like, no, like, fuck this, these people suck, they need to hang, we are throwing this system in the toilet and flushing it down the drain, I don't know. I've kind of like fully embraced that. And it was about a year ago that things really broke down for me with that. The CARES Act was the beginning of it, but then the COVID relief bill right before Christmas last year, that just broke me. I was just like, fuck. Like, that's what I don't know, that kind of killed electoral politics for me. And I feel like the Libertarian Party has mostly just been, it's like a home base for something, or, like for some sort of foundation. The problem is it never seems to solidify at all. But I still believe in like local politics. I mean, I think, I care way more who my mayor and who my state legislature is run by and who my governor is than who the president is. Like my life has actually been better in 2021 than it was in 2020, regardless of who the president was. And that's just because my state has decided to be more sane, So I've kind of
Wait, are you saying that you were in a freer state than in New Hampshire?
Well, I was only in New Hampshire through February last year, so not really.
Fair. All right. I thought we got a little digging there on New Hampshire.
Yeah,
unintentionally.
No,
oh well. Yeah, so I'm gonna say something that your viewers probably aren't gonna like. So I think that we have everyone. This is like just a universal thing. Everyone has a skewed opinion on like what messaging will or won't work based on what messaging will or wouldn't work on them, right? And so obviously, yeah, as you and I have moved further down on the political spectrum, we've started to warm up to that messaging. But what it doesn't do is negate the legitimacy of the messaging that brought us into the movement in the first place. So while my opinions of Kokesh and Vermin Supreme have changed, my opinions of, say, Gary Johnson have not. Because he still brought me into the party. He brought me into the movement. He taught me what a libertarian was. Same with like Larry Sharp or other like super like calm, palatable people like Donald Rainwater or Ricky Dale Harrington Jr. Like these people all still have their place as well, along with the Dave Smiths, the Spike Cohens, the Vermin Supremes, and the other burned down anarchists like us.
Yeah, I mean, my guy Rand Paul, who we've talked about a lot, he's actually, I kind of like him again now. I mean, he's been in the spotlight, and what he's been in the spotlight for, he's been really good. Like the beginning of this year, he sucked because he was, voting to confirm Lloyd Austin, and then, just kind of going over election stuff instead of focusing on, I don't know, stuff that I wish he'd cared more about. But I don't know, he's been pretty good on the COVID stuff. And like you said, like, I mean, he's the guy who brought me into all this. And I don't know, last year was a love-hate relationship thing with him, because you remember, I mean, last year with Rand Paul, it was so weird because he introduced some killer legislation, and there were a few moments where like I just wanted to stand up and cheer for him and clap. I was like, yeah. And then there were a few moments that were just like, like that's just kind of what you get with him, I guess. And I've just come to expect that. But
I did an entire episode of my show called The Rand Paul Show.
Yep.
It was a great episode, guys. Go back and watch it. Actually, I don't know if I can actually stand by that comment. It was back when I was very bad at everything instead of just pretty bad at most things.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think what I've realized is you just have to accept people for who they are instead of wanting them to be something they're not. And once you can accept that, then life is just going to be easier. And the same for yourself. Like, you have to accept yourself for who you are. You can't try to be something you're not. And I think, Tulsi's another person like this. Like, we definitely wanted her to be something more than she was. But at this point, like sometimes she has some super based opinion on COVID or civil liberties or something, and you're like, yeah, and then she'll say like, oh yeah, the Muslims hate us because of their, the radical Wahhabist ideology has nothing to do with us, bombing them for decades or whatever, and then you're just like, eh. So I don't know, you just gotta like you gotta take the good and the bad, and then you just gotta try to make people better, but remember who they are and just not, lose all, I don't know, not hang everything on one person. I think that's the mistake a lot of people have made, is just they hang everything on one person, and then if that one person doesn't do what they thought they would do or what they hoped they would do, then the whole world comes crashing down. Like you gotta plant yourself in a bigger pot than just one person's consistency, I guess.
Really? You mean we shouldn't hero worship?
Well, I think
Tie everything to one person?
there's a difference between like revering people and literally worshiping them. Like, I mean, this happened with Justin O'Donnell. I talked about this with Dave the other day. I think Justin O'Donnell's point with that Ron Paul thing was that people were saying that defunding the police was not a libertarian position because Ron Paul said it wasn't. And it's like, whoa, okay, yeah, that is dumb to say because Ron Paul says means this is the way it is. Like, no, that's not good. Like, that doesn't mean you shit on Ron Paul or think he's worthless or something, but something is not true because Ron Paul says it's true or anybody else because Rothbard says it's true. I actually really, a few months ago on my old Twitter account, I found this part of For New Liberty where Rothbard was describing a libertarian approach to being pro-choice. And it was pretty brutal. It was just like, the mother has the right to eject the fetus. I forget what the words were, but it was like pretty mechanical and, cold hearted or whatever. And I posted it and I said Rothbard was pro-choice. And I wasn't saying anything about the position. I just put it out there because I knew all these, a lot of people who literally worship Rothbard probably hadn't read everything he'd ever said. And when they're confronted with the fact, like, oh my God, I disagree with something he said, like you could see people's brains breaking, and it's just like, yeah, well, like Rothbard is way smarter than me, way more inspirational than me, way more influential, way more thoughtful, every adjective. Like, yeah, I'm not saying, I'm definitely nothing compared to Rothbard, but when you create a savior complex out of a person, I mean, they're going to let you down eventually because you're going to disagree or they're going to say something that maybe wasn't correct at the time or whatever. I don't know. I thought it was an interesting thing to notice.
Yeah. And I think something that I'm sure you noticed on the Tulsi campaign and then have probably noticed with yourself since, I think that a lot of this is honestly stems from a position of jealousy and not even in like a really like critical way. And like I'm being hypocritical in this critique because I think, and most of the time when I hold these kinds of opinions, it comes from a similar place of jealousy of like, I wish I had that platform so the thing that I care about could be talked about in my way from that platform.
Right.
Whether that's every libertarian in the entire party and movement being jealous of Tulsi Gabbard's platform because she had 10 times the platform that any libertarians ever had ever. Or whether it's like randos on Twitter mad that you didn't talk about like whatever topic they are really passionate about this week on your podcast. Like, there's a whole spectrum from it. And I legitimately think that most of the time it's coming from a good place where like they really just care about this issue and they wish that someone that's more successful than them would talk about it. I mean, shit, there's times where like I've sent you things to retweet because I'm like, man, if only I had 17,000 followers, maybe something might actually like that would be kind of dope, like. So again, completely.
Do you mind if I throw you under the bus a little bit?
It's not for it. Please do.
I don't know if you guys remember a certain graphic. I should pull it up if I can find it. But David Fite sent this to me. I think people would. I remember I posted it and it blew up. I got like 10,000 likes or something. Yeah, no one would have ever guessed that you sent it. talk for a little bit. Fill this in while I find this photo.
Okay, I'm also just reached over because I was gonna roll up.
Oh,
Because weed is a great thing.
Bad timing.
Yeah, I completely lost my train of thought. But yeah, I think that people just need to do the thing that they want. And if we've learned anything from the liberty movement and the Libertarian Party and this community, is that it does not take a whole hell of a lot to become a leader in the movement and become a like pivot point of messaging.
Right.
You did it in about a year and a half by just having a YouTube show and a great Twitter. Just think of what other people could do if they put in even more work, maybe like got out into their community, like organized some stuff, like maybe like save some people's lives, get fed some people, like got some people some coats and blankets for the winter, or like, I don't know, did anything, ran for office, helped on a campaign.
There it is. Yeah, David Fite sent me this, and he.
I knew that I would get canceled for posting it. So,
oh man, I'm uncancelable. So I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'm posting that," and it definitely made some people mad, but it was pretty funny. Oh man, for the audio listeners, it's what's the name of this meme anyway? Do you know? Does it have a name?
I don't know.
But it's the
scruffy beard guy and guy.
Yes, the scrutinizing face on the top, and then the bottom it's the oh my god, so amazing face. So on the top it's the Confederate flag, and it says, "We don't celebrate losers, you stupid racist." And on the bottom it says Indigenous Peoples Day. But yeah, that was a hit for sure.
Proud of that one. I didn't make it. I just found it and sent it to Reed because I was like, God damn it, Reed. Go make some people laugh. And you did. I'm proud.
I did. Yeah. I mean, I really don't value people's feelings at all. I mean, it's one of the lowest, unless it's somebody I care about and they're going through something rough. Aside from that, like, I just really don't care. I mean, it's I don't know. I mean, I don't think you have a right to not be offended. So, I also think being offended is kind of a choice, to get outraged over something. And it's funny, like sometimes experimenting with that. Like I remember one of my friends, he just posted on Twitter, 6 million, too high, too low, or not enough. And so there's no context there, but it's obvious what you can turn it into. So his whole point of doing it was, if you post that on there, people have to choose to be outraged if they're going to. They have to choose to be angry, and they have to choose to cancel you. And I thought that was interesting, and like seeing how people reacted to it. But I think it's definitely true. Like, you have to choose to be a fucking bitch about something if you want to be, I think.
That was Jacob Winograd, right?
No, it was Jose.
Okay.
He does that like every day, so there's nothing special about it. That's kind of how he rolls. So
fair enough. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Getting triggered is a choice. There are things where it is a justifiable choice, but it's still a choice. Like, you can legitimately take that all the way to the extreme where, someone can slap you across the face. You choose to still just walk away from that situation. Still a choice. Again, it's a justifiable choice to not walk away from that situation, but it's still a choice.
Yeah,
I don't have to choose to be a fucking bitch.
I'm one of those. I'm definitely an arbiter of the phrase, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words are violence." I mean, like, but words will never hurt you. I don't know. I just really don't give a fuck. But it's partially from working from a young age. Like, I mean, I was working in a lumberyard when I was 16, and you just kind of had to stop caring about, getting offended by what people said. And most people don't go through that till they're in their 20s. So it is what it is. But
yeah, and that's just like a difference of people, right? Like some people have feelings, some people don't. Nice. I'm proud of you, Ben. So to fill people in on why that comment is wonderful, Benjamin Heckman and I and a slew of other libertarians had a fully cannabis infused Thanksgiving dinner yesterday, from which I had leftovers for breakfast and am smoking some other weed from right now. So I'm also still high. But Tom Queter, who we mentioned earlier, made a wonderful dinner, fucking weed and everything. And yeah, it was a good time.
yeah. Well, unfortunately, I have to get going. Actually, I got to call my boss. He just texted me about tomorrow. But I've got your YouTube and both your Twitter pages in the description. But where else could people follow you and keep up with you and decide to get angry at you if they want to?
Those are the best places. Most of the best tweets come from David Fite. All the content pretty much goes to that YouTube channel, Fight for Liberty. I'm also on Facebook. And most of your podcasting, like audio things, except for I haven't updated that in a little bit. So you get some old content, which honestly, a lot of that stuff is also pretty good. This week we're having Joel Getz and Eric Brakey from Young Americans for Liberty on the show. So definitely tune into that. Subscribe and like away.
Well, carry on, my friend.
Thanks for having me back.
We'll try to have you back on before 6 months pass. We'll see how much further down the rabbit hole you get.
Just You're gonna have me back on from like jail after I like burned down something. You'd be like, oh wow, that escalated quickly.
Yeah, just don't like go full Ted Kaczynski or Timothy McVeigh before I have you on next time. Like proportionally at your current, trajectory, that could happen. So just be careful. So.
Will you like come and live stream the trial?
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I will live stream the Fite trial.
All right. Well, if I wasn't on a watch list before, I am now.
There it is. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. I will catch you guys on the next live stream.